What if I told you that in August, $3 billion worth of Bitcoin could be dumped into an already weak cryptocurrency market, causing a potential catastrophic price crash for not just Bitcoin, but for the entire cryptocurrency market? You would probably think, well, that's not particularly awesome sounding, Lark, but that is exactly what may be happening with 137,000 Bitcoin from Mt. Gox about to be released into the market, and it's looking like that is going to happen in August. The results of this release could cause a lot of price turbulence. Just the speculation of that release could cause a lot of price turbulence. So in today's video, I want to break this situation down for you, as well as telling you my thoughts on what could happen when we see this 137,000 Bitcoin start to be released into the market. My name's Lark. I make videos on investing. Now, if you do like that topic, you like staying up to date with what is happening, learning more about it, then please subscribe to the channel. And if you do have just a quick little second to tap on that thumbs up button for the YouTube algorithm, well, I would sure appreciate that. And as a thank you for taking that quick moment, here is a picture of a cute platypus. Okay, let's get serious. Now we have to break the situation down just a little bit in case you're not very familiar with it. Back in the early days of Bitcoin, Mt. Gox was the big daddy of exchanges. Then in 2014, Mt. Gox shut down after it became apparent that all the Bitcoin on the exchange had been stolen by hackers. A little while later, the Mt. Gox team, well, they magically found a random hard drive with 200,000 Bitcoin on it. You know, it's happened to everybody before, right? Which underlines, of course, what a total shit show the Mt. Gox exchange was. But in this situation came a silver lining for users of the Mt. Gox exchange. Not all was lost. We are now in the 8th year since the hack, and a long line of people have been waiting for a very long time to get something back. Everyone's had their claims on that 200,000 Bitcoin. And it seems that the time may have finally come to get that Bitcoin back to the people who are putting their hands out claiming it. And I say that in full recognition of the fact that there have been like a dozen times before when it seemed like things were about to happen, people were about to start getting something back, and then it didn't happen. But this time I think is different because the trustee for the Mt. Gox Bitcoin released a statement just a few days ago saying that at the end of August, repayments will begin. They've never said that before, ever. It's real, it's happening. Now, after selling some of the Bitcoin back in 2018, the trustee now is still sitting on around 137,000 Bitcoin in total from the initial stash that was there, along with some Bitcoin cash and also some cash from selling Bitcoin back in 2018. So we're about to see a huge flood of Bitcoin coming into a weak market that is just sitting on a knife's edge on all these macro fears. Maybe this all ends up being just a big fat nothing burger. Doesn't have a very big impact, but maybe not. What if it is not a big nothing burger? This could actually be something that nukes the market when it hits. Now, before I break down whether or not this is something that we should all be, well, a bit worried about, I do want to interrupt the flow real quick, because if you are a cryptocurrency trader and you'd like to have a great place to long and short a wide variety of cryptocurrencies, trade spot markets, buy NFTs, and do much, much more, then you need to get yourself an account over on Bybit. It's the top exchange for traders. Use the link down below in the description. You're going to get 30% off of your trading fees and up to $4,100 in deposit bonuses. So go ahead and check that out using the first link in the description. Okay, now let's discuss how this massive release of Bitcoin could actually affect the market. First, let me show you this chart, which shows what happened when the Mt. Gox trustee started selling some of that 200,000 Bitcoin back in 2018. Now, this is also why there's a lot less than that 200,000 left, only like 137,000 Bitcoin now, because they did sell some. Anyway, you can see that their selling started when the market topped, actually literally the day after the all-time high, around $20,000 back in 2017. When they finished selling, the price was down by about 50%. On basically every day that Mt. Gox sold Bitcoin, the price got hammered. We're talking 20-30% daily drops. Was that all just a coincidence? I mean, look, the markets were cooked anyway. We're already entering a bear market. Maybe. But all that extra Bitcoin being sold Whether or not it was the reason for it or not was definitely fuel for the fire, adding to these big price drops. Some pretty big coincidence though, don't you think, that every day the Mt. Gox trustees sold, there was a massive drop in price? Even if it only accounted for 1% of daily volume, the panic alone was enough to freak people out. But anyway, that much Bitcoin just hitting one exchange, because they don't sell across the market, can have a big effect. And just that sentiment as well can have a big effect. So likely this 137,000 Bitcoin entering the market in August could have a pretty negative impact if we go on previous things. There are, however, a few details I want to consider. The first is that not everyone is actually going to sell their Bitcoin. Yes, undoubtedly, some people will. These people are sitting on at least 20x profits, some of them 50 or 100x profits on the Bitcoin. Someone's going to sell. But keep in mind that a lot of these guys also are, well, Bitcoin OGs. They've been holding coins since before 2014, some of these guys. They don't need to sell. They're not likely to be forced sellers. Although a lot of claims have also been bought up by hedge funds in the time between now and then. Now, generally, these hedge funds are not always dumb. Some of them are pretty dumb, but not all of them. They would probably not want to crash the market by dumping all that Bitcoin into the market. More likely would be a slow unwind by working with market makers to get out at a good price, but they could sell. Anyway, I want to return to the fact that someone is going to sell. 137,000 Bitcoin. Someone's going to sell some of their Bitcoin. It just becomes a question of how much Bitcoin will be sold and how fast, which is an impossible thing to forecast. But let's consider this. The volume today is more than 5 times what it was at the market peak of 2017. And that's the last time, of course, that some of the Mt. Gox Bitcoin was sold off. But we're also talking about like 3 times more Bitcoin coming up to be sold than was sold back then. And again, not everyone's going to be a seller necessarily, but there's more buyers now, more volume. It'll have less of an impact when it happens. But still, that Bitcoin's being sold into weak markets. But do we have an example of a recent Bitcoin sell-off from a large entity that affected the market price? Yes, we do. And the results weren't super awesome. The Terra Luna Foundation sold 80,000 Bitcoin back in May. Now that resulted in a general market panic that saw the price of Bitcoin drop from $40,000 down to about $28,000. Now part of this came, of course, from the actual sale of that Bitcoin. The Terra Luna Guard Foundation was panic selling their Bitcoin as fast as they could, but a lot of that also came from really the ensuing market panic of the Terra collapse, the UST collapse, the contagion effects of all that stuff. Although that was only about 58% as much Bitcoin as is to be released from Mt. Gox. So we're going to see more Bitcoin coming to the market. Nearly twice as much Bitcoin coming to the market. Again, I need to underline, not all of it is going to be sold. But what if half of it's sold? That's a lot of Bitcoin. Yikes. That's what. The good news is that not everyone is going to get their Bitcoin on the same day. Not all the people who get their Bitcoin are going to market dump it. They're not all going to sell it on the same exchange, et cetera, et cetera. Their payment process could take a bit of time. This could be a bit of a drawn out situation here. But regardless of how long it takes to complete or how much Bitcoin gets held or gets sold, it looks like it's finally happening. And that in August, we are going to see the first Bitcoin from Mt. Gox hitting the markets in 8 years. Look, at the end of the day, what happens to the price, I think, is going to be unknown. There's so many factors. Who's going to sell? How much is going to be sold? All this stuff, right? Maybe most of it gets hodled. Maybe what is sold on OTC, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe there's some cutthroat whales who are going to use this as a chance to crash and short the market just based on the fear of the event. Maybe the irrational panic alone is going to be enough to just spook the market. We know how much confidence the market is lacking right now. I personally think that the impact not going to be as huge as a lot of people are predicting. Some people are saying this is going to be the end event. It's going to take us down to like $3,000 or gosh knows what. But you should know that this event is coming up. Knowledge is power, and it's important to know that this release is coming so you can, plan around it, whether you're shorting the market, buying the dip, whatever it is. Even if it ends up not being super impactful, at least you have the information now. I just want you to know about this and its potential to impact the markets. Anyway, your question for today. Do you think that the Mt. Gox Bitcoin is going to crash the market. Is this going to be the big event? Or is this going to be a big, fat, nothing burger for the markets? Let me know down below in the comment section. Thanks so much for watching today's video, and peace out till next time.